billion of loans when I was president. That's 1990 money. With $800 billion worth of loans by enforcing this law that says every bank that's got an ATM machine in a community has to consider people in that community for loans. And she wants to do it by changing the regulation, not by letting the big bankers go back to speculating, but by growing the economy from the bottom up and the middle out by making small business loans again. Now, if you don't work for one, let me tell you how important that is. For the last 20 years, 2/3 of our new jobs have come from small businesses. 80% of those jobs have come in the first 5 years of the business's life. 80%. Now, we need to do more of that. She's the only person you can vote for that wants to do that. Her opponent just wants to repeal the other law, which will let the banks go back and start gambling with our future and run the risk of another meltdown. That's a big difference, and why we're stronger together if we vote for Hillary. Let's talk about health care. All the headlines are full of the stories that average premiums are going up 22%. But the sub-headline is, if you're in the health care program, your subsidies will go up too, so the increases won't be as much. So you got one proposal, her opponent, just repeal it and go back to the way it used to be. That's a terrible idea. More than 20 million people would lose their health insurance. Families that can now insure their kids up to age 26 wouldn't be able to do it anymore. And 100% of Americans would be worse off because you today cannot deny someone coverage based on a pre-existing condition. We do not want to get rid of that. So what would a country that was interested in being stronger together to do? You'd keep what's good about the law and attack the problems. She's the only person you can vote for that wants to do that. He just said, I'm going to repeal this law, trust me on the rest. Look, what are the problems with the law? We can all tick them off, right? The co-pays, deductibles, and premiums are too high, and the drug prices are too high. So what does she say we should do? We should bargain for lower drug prices the way the government can now with Medicare and Medicaid for everybody. We should realize that the most vulnerable populations are people who make just a little too much money to qualify for the subsidies, but they don't work for big companies with a lot of market power, and small businesses that make just a little too much money to qualify for the subsidies, and they don't have any bargaining power. So what she wants to do is let people 55 and over have the option to buy into Medicare at an affordable rate, and let everybody else have access to a public option which will guarantee competition at an affordable price. 20% of Americans today only have one choice, and that's not good. Now, if you did that, the rest of the difference in what we pay and everybody else is up to us. We've got to get hospital infections down. We've got to get readmissions down. We've got to improve the health care of our people, which I've worked on hard for the last several years in 18,000 schools with, 30,000 schools with 18 million students. We can do this. We can lower the cost of our health care by making ourselves healthier and improving the delivery system. And that's going on. But the worst problems are for people that are just a little above the subsidy line, and we can fix that. So Hillary says, fix the problem, don't repeal the solution. Now, all this means we're stronger together. Look at where we are with big business and creating jobs. You've had some good experience with this in Eastern North Carolina because Nucor Steel pays weekly bonuses, right? And if you've got a plant not too far from here. Here's what I know. The biggest problem today hurting the American economy from the point of view of bigness is big corporations being run by rich activist shareholders for their own benefit paying the CEOs based on whether the richest shareholders are happy, and they want all their money in a year and a day so they can get the lower capital gains tax rate. So what does her opponent say? Just cut their taxes and see what happens. Hillary says, we tried that, it didn't work out too well. So she says, I want to raise taxes on people that shut down profitable plants in America and move them overseas. Make them give back every last red cent they ever got from the government. And put a tariff on the goods when they seek to bring them back. That's Carrier air conditioning in Indiana. Did you read about it? They threw 2,100 people under the bus to move to Mexico, but what the fine print shows that those 2,100 people were making furnaces, and their division made $2.9 billion in profit. And the profit margins were going up. Why did they do that? The union says, you're going to save $65 million a year by moving to Mexico. We'll save it for you. We do the work saving. They did it anyway. Wouldn't even talk to them. Why? Because they're being run for the benefit of a handful of people that want their money back in a year and a day. So what does Hillary say? Don't give them their money back in a year and a day. Lower the tax rate a lot on people that invest in companies for 5 years or more. A lot. So we can have time to grow together. And she says, I tell you who I want to lower taxes on. I want to lower taxes on companies that share their profits with their employees. I want to lower taxes on companies that train their employees and make sure they can keep adding value to the American economy. And I want to lower taxes on companies that will invest in places like Eastern North Carolina that hadn't had any new investment in too long. In other words, help us grow together. You can pay less taxes because you'll be growing and so will we. So we can all rise together. You got a clear choice here, and it will affect your life. One of the most underrated people serving in the federal government today, I think, is the Secretary of Agriculture, Tom Vilsack. He was governor of Iowa, a rural state, which, let me just support your governor's candidate's statement on clean energy. Iowa has the lowest electric rates in America because it has the highest rate of generation of electricity from the wind. And the farmers with the windmills on their land are making money. Everybody's making money, and the people are paying less. But Vilsack was governor there. So he got permission to combine a bunch of these agriculture department programs and put the money together and invest in rural America. And the agriculture department has created 250,000 jobs in places just like this. Hillary says we ought to be spending billions and billions and billions of dollars to invest in small towns and rural areas that have been left behind. The money is there, we're just not spending it right. Invest it to put people to work. So we're stronger together. We're stronger together also when we expand voting rights and not restrict them. When we say we're not going to get too hung up on your race or your religion or your sexual orientation if you're willing to work and do your part and be part of our common future. What we have in common is more important than our interesting differences. And if we do that, then everybody can go forward together. I've taken to asking all these rallies I'm doing now at the end of the campaign, asking people to do two things. One is vote. Don't miss out on this historic opportunity, not just to elect the first woman president, but to define what America is all about in the 21st century. And two, when you meet people who are supporting Hillary's opponent, and you look in their eyes and you know they're hurting, and you know what drove them to this is that they too get up every morning and look in the mirror and think, all my tomorrows are going to be like today. I don't have the power to change my tomorrows. I don't have the power to help my kids. There must be something wrong. Tell them, yeah, there's something wrong, but you don't want to choose somebody who is the living embodiment of what's wrong when you've got another person who's the living embodiment of what we can make right. But do not greet them with the anger they often display toward us. Love them to death. Look at them and say, we need you. I'll tell you a story that you identify with. Hillary asked me in the primary to go to southern West Virginia, to the heart of her opponent's base. She said, we can't win down there, can we? I said, no way. They voted for me twice, big down there. And I said, we can't win because they blame President Obama and his fight against climate change for their problems. They're not right about that. Coal employment, interestingly enough, east of the Mississippi, peaked in 1920. Coal production east of the Mississippi peaked in 1950. Efficiencies took the employment down. Then they found coal in Wyoming that was close to the surface and cheaper to mine and didn't have as much bad sulfur in it. Then they found natural gas, and you know the rest. I said, but they blame him. They're mad at you for being in his government, and they think you sold out, and they really blame me because they did well when I was president, and they think I sold them out. She said, I want you to go anyway. And this is what happened. I went to eastern Kentucky and to southern West Virginia, and they were out there demonstrating, and I said, guys, come inside and yell at me. You did well when I was president. Come on inside, let's talk. And I said, here's what Hillary told me to tell you. First, I'm a white Southerner. I know what Make America Great Again means. And all of you of a certain age know exactly what it means. I said, I didn't fall off this truck yesterday. I've heard this song a long time. It means first, I'll give you the economy you had 50 years ago, and second, I'll give you the society you had 50 years ago. I'll move you up and move somebody else down. I said, first, you can't get the economy you had 50 years ago. I turned 70 this year. That's like me saying I'd like to be 20. Actually, I would. Just to see what's going to happen. I would, but I wouldn't vote for anybody who promised to make me 20 again. And in terms of the society we had 50 years ago, it wasn't so great for some people, was it? And we all know who they were. Everybody except the people that are hearing the sign song. What Hillary says we ought to do is to tear down the totem pole so we can all go forward together. So here's what she told me to tell these guys. And I looked at them, I said, Hillary said, go ahead and vote for whoever you want to. But if she wins, she's coming back for you, because we need you too. We all need to rise together. And I want to ask you to do that. Vote. Don't miss out on this election. But use this as an opportunity to say, America works better when out of many we are one. When we rise together, when we live together, when we're citizens together, when we vote together, when we show a face to the world that freedom is better than oppression, that we have greater expressions of religious faith when we discriminate against no religion. We work better. But here especially, we have to recognize that in the world we're living in, small towns and rural areas all over the world will be left out and left behind unless you have a president who understands that you can use the power of technology, the power of energy, the power of education to create jobs everywhere so we can rise together. I hope you will tell that to people and give Hillary a resounding victory here. Thank you.